Hello guys, Rob1 here with a segment that I haven't done in a little while. Yu-Gi-Oh! Good or Bad. And a card came out the other day where I thought it was actually justified to make another one of these segments. I only make one of these when I feel there's a card that's come out or has been announced where it can be really decent, but it also has potential to be not that great. And today we're going to be talking about a new card that came out or has been announced, and that card is in front of me now, and it is called Slash Draw. Put it up there or there. I don't know which one. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Slash Draw in this video because Slash Draw, it looks decent on paper. It looks like it's a decent card on paper. It has good potential on it, and it has good decks that it can be really good in as well. It has a good sort of playability in it as well, where it can also have really good areas to play in. But we'll get to that in a second, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Good or Bad is a segment where I talk about cards that could be bad, could be good, 50-50 chance, and I just want to give my opinions on them and, you know, talk about them for a bit. So yeah guys, we'll start off with the good stuff like normal, talk about why I feel like this card can be good, but we've got to get into its effect first before we can actually get into the good stuff. So what does Slash Draw do? Well, I've got the laptop, how I do stuff. I've got the laptop in front of me. Okay, so Slash Draw, its effect is you can only activate one card with this card's name per turn, so OCG text there. Its effect is discard one card, cost, send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, equal to the number of cards your opponent controls. First bit of the effect, so max you can be milling like 13, which isn't bad, not bad in the slightest. Then draw one card and reveal it. So you get a draw, you get to mill some stuff. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? If that card is Slash Draw, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy all cards on the field, then inflict 200 points of damage for each card destroyed sent to the graveyard. So essentially, what that part of the text is saying, if you draw another Slash Draw, you basically get to nuke your opponent's board, and if you destroy 4 cards, GG, well played. But yeah, if it's not Slash Draw, shuffle cards from your graveyard to the deck equal to the number of cards sent from your deck to the graveyard by this effect. Now, this card on paper doesn't seem very good. It doesn't seem very good at all. Seeing as it's got that rank up 7 Magic the 7th one's thing on it. But we'll get into all of that in a second, because we're going to talk about the good stuff first. The stuff that can make this card potentially decent, and the stuff that could, you know, potentially boost the ratings of this card and how you could potentially use it in a deck, in one of your decks. So let's get into that. So for starters, why I feel like this card is good. Well, first, it gives you a draw. It doesn't get rid of the draw no matter what. You get to draw the card regardless, and that's still really good. You get to discard a useless card in your hand, and this card, but it's a -1 inherently. But you still get to get that one draw, which can be really nice. It doesn't say you have to put the card back, which can be really nice at times. And always getting that additional draw, say with like, I don't know, in Magicians you could potentially use this with something like Dark Worm. You draw Dark Worm, you can essentially put Dark Worm, you can essentially put your Dark Worm into the graveyard and then potentially summon the Dark Worm. In Light Swans you could discard a Glow Up Bulb, a Fairy Tale Snow, well in 60 cards, a Fairy Tale Snow, a Glow Up Bulb, a Mizuki, a wolf that you may have bricked. You can discard any of those and get a draw, and that's not potentially a bad thing in general. Like that generally has good potential in there, and with that it also has other good factors as well outside of just the draw factor. The fact that it can return cards back to the deck. Now, when I looked at this effect at first, I thought This card's insane. How the hell are you going to pull it off? It's very rare to pull off, and you probably won't pull it off. But when I saw this, when I thought about this card, it reminded me of another good card that we have in the game that is currently on the ban list. And that card is Yugioh Emerald. Now, a lot of you should know what Yugioh Emerald does. It's got two effects, one that can summon a normal monster from the graveyard, and another, which is the important effect, that can shuffle cards back into the deck. And looking at this card, slash draw, you have the potential to put cards back into your deck, such as that Garnet you drew, that Garnet you could have discarded and drew, your spell cards that you might want to put back into your deck, Xyz monsters that could be in your graveyard, or fusion monsters. I believe you can shuffle it to the just let me clarify that. Shuffle cards from your graveyard to the deck equal to the number of cards sent from the field to the graveyard by this effect. I assume you can put them back into your deck. Yugioh Emerald had the same text, so I assume so. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below, but you can recycle essentially any spell or trap cards that you want. Now, say your opponent has 4 cards. You mill 4 cards. You get to put 4 cards back if you don't draw slash draw, and you've got that additional draw that could potentially help you. Now, looking at this card, in my opinion, it does have very big playability in that area. Just being able to recycle cards and giving you an additional draw, I feel like is more than enough to say this card is a good card. It has the same effect as Yugioh Emerald, which I really like. Just being able to put cards back, which is always good. Like, you can mill the cards, and if you're playing 60 cards, you could have milled some really good cards, and then you can just put back other cards that you don't necessarily need to gain additional draws, to gain additional advantage. Or, if not, you could essentially be playing another deck, such as Magicians, where you have something in your graveyard that you don't want in there, or extra deck cards that you want to put back in the extra deck, or any just sort of spells and traps that you want to return to the deck. You can send a certain amount of cards to the graveyard, be it as it may. If those cards are useless to you, you could just put the spell or trap cards in your graveyard back into the deck. You could even recycle your Supreme Gate 0, which is a Garnet. You could recycle a Time or Stargazer that you could have put in there potentially, which is also really nice. In Trick Stars, you could potentially put back your light stages that you wanted in your deck, back in your deck, or your terraformings or anything like that. In True Draco, you could recycle some of your monsters or your spell and trap cards, which is really nice. And that's something you've got to look up when looking at these kind of cards. They do have other advantages outside of what they normally do, and looking at it from that perspective, I feel like this card does have potential. And also the additional effect of, if you draw another slash draw, you basically get to kill your opponent if they have 4 cards, which is really nice, in my opinion as well. But yeah, the card does have potential in it. It can give you a draw, which is always nice. It's not an inherent neg. It's not an inherent neg 2. It's a neg 1 at best, which sure is annoying, but the potential advantage you can gain from that neg 1, I feel like it's kind of worth it. Also the fact that dealing AK for game, really nice, and the fact just being able to recycle any card in your graveyard back into your deck or back into your extra deck. I believe it has the same text as Yugioh Emerald, I believe, so it should be the same. And that's just really nice to me. That really is nice to me, just being able to recycle cards from your graveyard. Like, you could recycle a Garnet, you could recycle a Cobra if you're playing 60 cards. If you're playing Lights, if you're playing Magicians, you could recycle your Garnets in that as well, such as your Star, Time, Gate Zeros. If you're playing something like Trick Stars, oh, I've drawn the Lilybell, discard it, put it back. Really nice. And also being able to just recycle any extra cards, as I said before, is really nice. Like, ever since we lost Yugioh Emerald, that effect, it's been really hard to actually utilize that sort of thing, and I feel like this card actually gives us a way to do that. But yeah, that's the good stuff about the card. I did actually have some good things to say, guys, about this card, and it does have decent potential inside of it. But we also got to talk about the bad things about this card, because it does have its bad uses. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the greatest card, but it can have potential. So let's get into the bad stuff. So the first one is, you got to discard a card to use it. you shouldn't have to discard a card to use something like this. It's essentially an inherent upstart goblin that really does end up being an upstart goblin if you do nothing. Like, if you don't draw another slash draw, you're not going to get anything in the end, and discarding a card isn't going to help you. Like, sure, it can help you in decks like Lightsworn, as I said, but the fact that you're discarding a card just for potentially getting nothing in return, that's really bad. And I feel like that's a really bad thing about the card, that if you're just discarding one to use this, that could potentially neg you in the long run. It is quite bad. Like, honestly, they are bad. That's a very bad cost, in my opinion, having to discard one card. Maybe if it was like pay a certain amount of life points, like, I don't know, pay 1,000 life points. That would make the card better, but because you got to discard a card, it's not really the greatest thing. Another bad thing is, to get its actual effect off, you have to draw a slash draw. Now, you can recycle the slash draws as well that you may have put in the graveyard already, but the fact that you have to draw slash draw as well to get this effect off, it really is kind of upsetting, in my opinion, having to just get another slash draw. If maybe it said if you declared a card type such as monster spell or trap card, it would be a lot better, because you declared spell, drew a spell, that would be pretty decent, but that effect really does kind of kick you in the bollocks, in a way, if you know what I mean. And also the fact that you can't potentially, you're having to send cards back. And I know I said that was a good thing as well, but in decks that could actually utilize this milling ability properly, it's not the best to have to send the cards back. Like, the problem with having to send the cards back is that you can't really utilize the cards after that. Like, they're going back into your deck. Outside of like extra deck cards, it's going to be a lot harder to utilize them. Sure, as I said before, they could be recycled back in the deck, which is, as I said, is decent. But the fact that you can't really gain anything outside of that, and you might not even draw these cards that you put back into your deck. It's kind of like the Desires mentality. If you don't draw them, there's no point to them, and that's why you play Desires, because those 10 cards you might not have even seen. So it's really annoying that you have to actually just put the cards back. Like, maybe if it said you put back half the cards, it'd be a lot better, but the fact that you actually just mandatorily have to put them back if you don't draw slash draw, it really does kind of suck. And also another bad thing about this card is it's very reliant on your opponent. If your opponent doesn't control any cards, you're not going to use it. You can't activate the card, because you don't. Well, let me just make sure of this. Send the cards to the top of your deck to the graveyard equals the number of cards your opponent controls. Yeah, like, you definitely have to control. Your opponent has to control cards to actually use the card, and that's really upsetting to me. How if your opponent doesn't control any cards, you can't actually utilize the card. If it, like, something I would like it to do is if it had a set number of cards to send to the graveyard, and maybe a set number of 5, such as Needle Bug's Nest, where discard a card, send the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard. If you send the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard, then if it's a Needles, if you milled something that's relevant to Needles, or even if the draw aspect wasn't in there, and it said if slash draw was in those 5 cards, you can destroy a certain amount of cards up to the number. But, like, it's not a great thing, because you have to wait for your opponent to actually do something to use the card, and that can be actually very upsetting to me, looking at something like that. Like, the card has a lot of downsides as well as goods, in my opinion, where if you don't draw slash draw, you're not going to get anything. It's very reliant on your opponent to have actual cards on the board, and if you're not really going to want to use the card if your opponent doesn't have 4 cards on the board, because that's lethal if you draw slash draw. Also, the fact that you have to shuffle the cards back into the deck, if it was like optional maybe, or a certain amount to shuffle back, like half of them, it might be more decent, but the fact that you have to shuffle all of them back, it's not that great, in my opinion. But like, there's not that great options in this card, but there is also some very good options in this card as well, in my opinion. But yeah, guys, that's my personal thoughts on slash draw. Honestly, is it good or is it bad? I'm gonna have to say, personally, it's not good. It's not good at all. It does have that aspect of Daigusto Emerald that I like a lot. It does have that aspect of being able to just get a draw and discard a bad card that you drew in something like 60 cards or Magicians, and then recycle something back, which isn't bad. Being able to recycle extra cards or main deck spell or trap cards that you kind of put in the graveyard and want to return, it's never bad to have that sort of aspect in your deck. But the fact that you have to do majority of these things, and if you don't draw slash draw, it's pretty much all for naught in the long run. It's not good enough. The card, it's bad. It's decent at best, subpar maybe, but it's not good. The card is subpar at best. It's not that great. It's got decent utility in its ways where you can return like extra deck stuff or spell and trap cards, as I said. Getting the extra draw can always be nice, I suppose, but in the long run, I don't think the card is good. Like, it will probably shine in stuff like 60 cards or anything that has garnets in it that would like to recycle stuff or anything like that. But outside of it, the card really isn't that good. Having to rely on your opponent too much, having to discard that card is really annoying, and just the fact that it's a mandatory shuffle back, it's not worth it in the long run. But, guys, what do you personally think of this card? Do you think this card is a good card? Do you think this card is a bad card? Personally, as I said, I don't think it's that great. Subpar to decent at best. It's not amazing in the long run, but what do you guys think of it yourselves? Do you think it's a good card? Do you think it has good utility in other decks that maybe you want to play it in? Tell me all of that in the comment section below, because I'd love to hear what your personal thoughts on Slash Draw are, and what you would like to use it in, because the only thing I could see it really being fully utilized in is maybe 60 cards, because 60 cards being able to mill some stuff and return the cards that they put in the graveyard, such as maybe a Foolish Burial, Monster Reborn, stuff like that, is decent. But outside of that, guys, I feel like this card is not the best. But tell me what you think of this card in the comment section below. What you're going to use it in if you get it. How do you think this card can be properly utilized? How do you think this card is good or bad? Tell me all of that in the comment section below, because I would like to hear your opinions on this. But yeah, guys, also if you enjoyed Yu-Gi-Oh! Good or Bad, don't forget to press the like button to show that you enjoyed it and want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! Good or Bad in the future, because I do enjoy doing this series. It's really fun to just, add the blurry a bit, add these onto my channel, because it's always fun to talk about these sort of cards that are good or bad, or could have potential, or have really bad potential. But it really is good. I really do enjoy doing these series. So yeah, if you want to see more of that, press the like button. If you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos from me, don't forget to press the subscribe button to get those in your subscription box. And if you want to be notified of those videos so you never miss a Yu-Gi-Oh! Video from me, don't forget to press the notification button as well to be notified of future Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos that I plan to upload in the future. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching the video. Slash Draw, your potential is there, but it's just not great. But yeah, guys, as I said, tell me what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Robot1, signing out. Slasher! Thanks for watching, guys. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos. And check out the links in the description for the previous video, and the link to my Facebook page where you can see previous videos that I've posted there, and any other information that I may have posted there. I hope to see you guys next time, and thanks for watching.